What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Tell Me More podcast presented by Major League Success. I have Brent Miller with us. He's with Remax for Realty. And Brent, thanks so much for taking time out of your day to jump on here and to share your story and your journey of not just getting into the business, but really having success in this business. So I appreciate you taking that time to join us.
Thanks, John. I appreciate the opportunity to be here and to share a little bit.
I always find it fascinating to, really take, and we were talking a little bit before we jumped on here, just a reflection. I know there's some pivotal moments in my career in college that ultimately led me down this path, right? And then, meeting a certain person that's really helped me, take my career and turn it into what it is. And, I find that a lot of agents that I talk with on here, they haven't really taken that time to really think about the journey. And the whole point of this and my mission and my passion is helping real estate agents, specifically the new ones or the ones that maybe they don't have the guidance, right? They're struggling. They're a little bit more inconsistent to really find that success, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to let people know that there's so many different ways to go out and do real estate. It's not, you have to be the top listing agent to succeed. It's not you have to go and crush for sale by owners and expireds. It's not you have to be just SOI based, right? And so on here we're going to dive into some of those things of how you built your business. But Brent, where we get started is always growing up. What was life like for you, as a child and going through high school? What were some of your hobbies, interests? What was life like for you?
Well, first of all, I would say when you unlock the secret to really consistent income in this business and not having any worries, let me know, because I'd like to know how to do that. We've all gotten better at it, but we're all, no matter how long you're in it, the business is what it is. There's going to be ups and downs. So,
yeah.
But yeah, going back to, I grew up in Sugar Creek, Ohio. I don't know if I actually grew up in Baltic, Ohio, which is a town of about 500 people. Moved to Sugar Creek, the big town of 2,000 people. And I don't know if you know where that is.
Is that up by like Worcester and all that? Like that direction?
Close, yeah.
Okay.
See, this is what always happens is I start out Baltic, then I go Sugar Creek, and then someone's like, okay, what's the next biggest town? So the next would be like Coshocton, New Philadelphia,
Okay.
Worcester, in that area, Holmes County area.
Yeah.
Little different than Columbus for sure. I grew up in a very traditional family. My traditional in the sense that my parents got married young. They stayed married until actually my mom passed away about five years ago, almost to the day. They had just were about to celebrate their 55th wedding anniversary. So that's kind of that was the norm in my family, which isn't really the norm anymore, I guess.
Yeah.
Grew up, so real small town, real small high school. I graduated from Garroway High School, had 54 people in my graduating class. Loved it. It was a great place to grow up, but I knew with some certainty pretty early on that that's not where I was going to live the rest of my life. So yeah, my dad actually was, he probably won't watch this, so I can talk about him. He was actually Amish when he was growing up, and had kind of, I don't know if you know anything about the Amish, but my grandparents leased their farm to an Englishman, which if you're not Amish, you're English, and the whole family got shunned at that point. So there's some animosity there.
Sure.
But yeah. And my mom grew up really, really poor. Came from there were 6 people living in a 1-bedroom shack, basically. Yeah. So modest, humble background for the family for sure. And
Yeah, no, I'm such a nerd. I had to pull it up on my Google Maps to where I could see where Baltic, Ohio was. So,
my dad was the mayor of Baltic, Ohio for a while when I was younger. So I was like, thought I was king shit. Am I allowed to
and
say stuff like that?
hey, this is your show. We can say whatever we want.
Yeah. But, and I say that to just to kind of let you know that it's been instilled with them growing up poor. They work their butts off to provide for my sister and myself. And my dad was a truck driver and worked 60, 70, sometimes 80 hours a week. It wasn't uncommon for him to get up at 2:00 in the morning, drive to work, go drive truck all day, and not get home till 6 or 8 o'clock the next night. And he'd still, if he could make it to a little league game, he'd be there. I don't know how he did it. He was probably sleeping sometimes 4 hours a night. And like I said, worked his butt off. My mom was always working. She babysat kids when she was younger. Everyone around Sugar Creek knew her as Grandma Mary. So I think some of that work ethic has been instilled in me. But it was also a motivation for me to look for a different path, because I didn't want to be working 70 and 80 hours a week like my dad did. I respect it. And, it was a different time. I'm almost 50. So, that's just the way things were. The guy went and worked and so I respect it, but that wasn't going to be my life. And that's ultimately kind of what led me to real estate, but although there was a winding path to get there.
Yeah, so let's dive in. Small town, right? I was kind of the same. I grew up in a small town, but then my high school years I went to a bigger school, and then I came down to Ohio State, and I was like, I'm never going back, right? So, what was that next step for you right after high school? Because you said you knew early on that I needed to get out, right? I needed to find a different path. What was that next step for you? Did you end up going to college, get into the work field?
So I went to, stepped up. Like I said, I went from Baltic 500 to Sugar Creek 2,000 people. Then I went to Bluffton College, Bluffton University now up near Lima, Findlay. And Bluffton's a town of maybe 4,000 people. So baby steps up. But it was still a very small college, but big to me, right?
Sure.
I got to interact with some folks that didn't look like me. I was this was part of why I wanted to get away, was just the lack of diversity. So I get to meet some international students that had a big effect on my life. Not necessarily towards real estate, just opening my own thing. It was a great experience there. Another thing that pushed me away from manual labor was, as I was going to college, I worked at a brick factory back in Sugar Creek in the summers and just worked it's what kept me in school and kept me from wanting to do the factory thing. It was,
No, I totally get it, right? Like sometimes it's just, we need that one little extra push, right? Like this isn't for me, right? I was just joking. I just got done doing, opening up our first Airbnb down in Texas, and we had to furnish it because it was a brand new build. And, I was like, man, there's a reason why I work in an office, and there's a reason why I don't do manual labor anymore, just sweating bullets outside, right? Like, man, I totally get it.
I'm in no way afraid of hard work, but it's not how I want to live my life. Not that kind of hard work. Real estate is hard. But it's a different kind of hard.
For sure.
So, I went there. I didn't have any real direction. I thought I was going to be a teacher, and then it's like, no, I don't want to be a teacher. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew what I didn't want to do at that point in life. And that kind of pushed through till I was about 35 years old when I finally figured out real estate was my thing. I did a number of sales jobs after college. I was a communication major, which to me, and when I was in school, I was like, this is great. I'm going to be qualified for so much. And then I got out and I'm like, I'm not qualified for anything. So, but yeah, I took some sales jobs, selling like nuts and bolts and power tools and all sorts of stuff to the construction industry and to large factories. Like at that time I was selling to was Meritor Automotive, which was a heavy truck axle thing. They don't even exist anymore. But, yeah. And
how so through that journey, how many years was that from graduation to then kind of, and we'll get into like, deciding real estate. How many years was that?
So the first time I decided that I was going to do real estate was in 2002. I graduated college in 97.
Okay.
So I jumped around a bunch of these jobs, basically doing the same thing. And then at some point, well, I guess I should backtrack a little bit, because in 1998, there was a pretty significant event. That's when I got married. And I know my wife will be watching this, so I have to mention that. She's been the biggest supporter of everything I've ever wanted to do. Every harebrained idea I have, she's just like, yeah, do it, go do it. And we'll get to that, more of that later. But so 5-6 years of jumping around. And then I finally got sought out a position at Ashland Chemical in Dublin. And on the other side of the table, I was a purchasing agent. So that's what precipitated our move to Columbus. Okay. And my wife's a teacher. We basically, she got a job in Groveport over here, and I got a job in Dublin up here, and we went Grove City, and that's how we ended up here. So
nice. So you've just been part of Grove City community since you've been here? Are you still living down there?
Since 2002. Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. We got an apartment for 6 months in Hilliard, and then came to Grove City. We were like, let's think about buying a house. And we drove through Grove City when they were having their Christmas parade in 2001. And we're like, wow, this feels like, I remember saying this, it's like, this feels like our small town home, but I can go to Taco Bell after I've been drinking and get some tacos at 2 a.m. This is perfect. So those up here,
those people that haven't grown up in a small town where they don't understand, there isn't fast food nearby. I grew up in a town with no stoplights. It was a stop sign, and we had one Dairy Queen. That was it. That was the fast food place, right? So
we got our McDonald's my freshman year in high school, and it's one of, I think, 2 McDonald's in the world that has a hitching post for horses.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
wow. So, that's crazy. So, Brent, you mentioned that there was multiple times where you kind of got into real estate, or kind of lead me down the path to why real estate. I always like asking agents. I always say, like, you can go make money, doing anything that you want, right? Especially in today's world where like entrepreneurship's more acceptable and okay, and the struggles of all of that. So what led you to real estate kind of being the next thing for you? And I know that you said that, there's a couple, ins and outs there, but what was it? Was it something like, were you always interested in it? Was it, experience that you had, maybe buying or selling, buying a house? What led you to that being the next step?
So after graduating from college, my wife and I bought a house out in Bluffton, and we lived in it for a year. And when we bought it, I had kind of the what I would say would be like a person's stereotypical bad real estate experience. I don't want to disparage other industries, but the used car salesman sort of thing. It
Sure.
just wasn't a great experience. When we sold that house in Bluffton, we used this realtor named Larry Smith, and he was great. He's like uber introverted, didn't say much, but when he did say it, it meant something. And he, long story short, he is what piqued my interest in it. I felt like he really treated us well, treated us like people, rather than a transaction.
Yeah.
And which has come to be a big part of my philosophy. So yeah, 2002, we're down here, and I'm like, you know what, I should get my real estate license, and I did. And the plan was to start dabbling in real estate as I was still climbing the corporate ladder at Ashland. And anyone that's tried that knows it doesn't work. It just doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you want to be good at real estate, you got to be all in my opinion. And I shouldn't say even be good. If you want to treat your clients like they deserve to be treated, you need to be all in. So yeah, I tried that for a while, and it didn't work. And then I just kind of let my license lapse at that point. Went through a bunch of other jobs, and then I decided, like, hey, I need to do this real estate thing. It had been on my mind at that time for 8 years, where I've been telling myself, dang it, why'd you let that lapse? There was this opportunity. And in 2010, I was working for, I won't say the name of the company, but it was the worst job I've ever had. And on July 27th, 2010, I walked in, and I don't advise that anyone does this, but at this point I was like, I don't care about burning bridges, and told my manager, I basically told him to F off, and I'm done. And he goes, you're not even going to finish today? I'm like, hell no, I'm out of here. I'm done. And about a week later, I found out, I did some research, found out I wouldn't have to take my real estate classes again. I was still within that time period. And I was like, screw it. I scheduled the test, and I went and took the test, and I passed. And I'm like, all right, full-time realtor now. So that's how that happened. And what's precipitated that is, through all of my experiences, I've learned, like I said before, I'm not afraid of hard work. I'm a good worker, but I'm a lousy employee. And I just figured that out at some point, and I was like, I need to do something that's for me and me only.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I think my philosophy and my thoughts on how real estate should be done, evolved from that point. And the basic tenet there is, like I said before, our clients deserve to be treated with the utmost respect, and I would even say love, from us.
Let me ask you this, because you mentioned, being part-time isn't necessarily, like, you can still be good and be part-time, but in order to give your client that experience, right, you kind of have to be full-time. What was one of the struggles during that period? Because look, a lot of people get into this business, they're transitioning from another career, right? This isn't typically someone's first career choice, right? It's kind of the experience that you went through, right? Like, I did, this career, and then there was usually a breaking point or something. Like, when I help agents get into the business, they want more money, they need more freedom, they want more flexibility within the schedule, right? It's something else going on in life or in their current career that they're just not happy. I think there are some industries where it's easier to transition or to do both, right? If that other career has a lot of flexibility involved in it. But what was it for you to where you're like, hey, this isn't going to work because I know I'm not providing X to my client? Was it
Yeah.
just time? Was it just the commitment?
Um, Time and just, I'm trying to choose my words a little bit judiciously because I don't want to badmouth any former employers, but just the typical corporate environment can be, it was for me, very soul sucking.
Mm,
Um, I was at that time, I was working in this, I'd go into this giant office with fluorescent lights and cubicles as far as you could see. And give your all. Like I've always thought you should give your all to whatever you're into. And then you get done at the end of the day and you're just like, ugh. And I didn't have the energy to invest in the real estate
sure.
at that point. So that's
Sure.
what it was for me, is just
Yep.
and the company was going through some stuff at that time where, there was a Friday one time where we went in and there was 2,100 people came to work and 700 left that morning without a job. They're like, see ya.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like that wears on a person. And I finally got to a point where, uh, I've wanted to do this real estate thing. It's been in the back of my mind. I need to just do it. And there
Yeah.
was, this allure of all the money. Everybody hears that, and I did too. And I was like, yeah, whatever. I see these people, sipping pina coladas by the pool and writing contracts, and it was that time in real estate, right? And then
Yeah.
I get my license full time in 2010, and it's like boom. And a lot of people said, man, you picked the worst time to get into real estate. And in retrospect, I think it was a really good time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I, I went 6 months without an income before I got my first closing, and I worked my rear end off to get going. And like some of the people that had been in it for a long time and were coasting, I probably took some of their business.
Yep.
And yeah,
Yep.
it's funny though. I think about it. My first year, I did 16 transactions.
That's
Um,
great.
and
Because it said your first 6 months, nothing, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, think about
So
that, right?
maybe,
Those,
yeah, I had some help from someone. I had
hey,
my
we all,
brokerage was yeah, my brokerage was set up at that time to be a HUD listing brokerage. So
yeah.
we had listings, right?
Yeah.
But the point is, I did 16 closings, and I think my 1099 at the end of the year said $22,000. I'm like, what the hell am I doing here?
Yeah. It was just it was a different time, and you
Yeah.
said something so important. Like I got in 2011, right? I did a lot of HUD homes. We had a REO, portfolio that we were selling
Hmm.
off. So, it was a different time. It was a great time because what it taught us back then, and I think the people getting in today, right? Not the people 2 years ago, but today are going to learn some of those same things
Right.
because it is a little bit different. It's a little bit more attention to prospecting and
Hmm.
conversation skills and presentation skills, and working a little bit harder than what we've
Yeah.
had to have done. I'm curious, Brent, when you got in 2010, right? People probably thought you were crazy. And I know you mentioned your wife before being your biggest supporter. You know, did you have more doubters? Did you have more supporters leaving corporate world, coming into 100% commission base? Plus, oh, by the way, the market had just crashed and now we're rebounding. Where, what kept you going? Because you just said 6 months. I want to like 6 months with no sales, right? And even
Right.
the sales that you did, the income wasn't there,
Right.
right? But it got you into the business. It got you that freedom. It got you that, that flexibility to become. You said you weren't the best employee, right? But you love working for yourself. So
Yeah. Yeah.
supporters, doubters, where did people stand with you? What motivated you to keep going?
I don't know if you remember me saying at the very beginning that my dad was a truck driver and drove for 40 years at the same company.
Yeah.
Um, And that was kind of the point of talking about my background a little bit was, I grew up in a place where you got your job and you worked there and the company's pension took care of you. I mean, that's changed, right? So yeah, when I made the leap, there's a lot of like, what are you doing? You've got a decent job, a steady income, yada yada. Like, what are you doing? I don't think anyone explicitly confronted me with it, but that feeling was there. And I mentioned Megan, that's my wife. She was the one that's like, her and her family both have been like, follow your dreams. Her dad's he's a farmer, entrepreneur, very progressive minded farmer, and he's been very encouraging. Megan is, like I said, a teacher. She's got the salary and the benefits to cover us. So she's like, yeah, do it. I've got you. I know. I was having some serious mental health issues through some of this time too, just not dealing with knowing that I'm not living the life that I want,
Sure.
And I'm totally open to talking about that sort of stuff too.
Well, honestly, that's we just did a mental health workshop in the month of May, for mental health awareness. And obviously my wife is a psych nurse practitioner. So it's a big thing in my family, right? Like, and they don't teach you, in school. And again, because a lot of us that get into real estate, we aren't business owners beforehand. We don't understand how to run a business. They don't teach you the mental side of highs and lows and everything else in between of actually running and operating your own business. And I think it's a very important topic. Because I think a lot of agents, and we're seeing it today, right? It's doom and gloom because the market's down and, there's not enough business and all of those things are going around. But I always tell agents, I'll bring up Baltic, Ohio. The one fortunate thing for us is we do not live in Baltic, Ohio, where maybe, 3 homes sell every single year, right? We are fortunate that we live in a large, not just Columbus, Marysville, Delaware, Marion, Newark, so down to Circleville, we live in a large area where real estate still happens, right? And your environment, and I always bring up doubters and supporters because, if you have a spouse or a significant other, they play a huge impact in your career and in your success. Or if you don't have that, you have to audit your circle, right? Who are the people you're hanging out with? Are they negative? Or are they positive? And you got to get rid of the negative people because you need to surround yourself with the positive people in our industry, because it is a different world than what the majority of our friends and people that we associate that do work the 9 to 5 and the W-2 job, and they get paid every 2 weeks. So
So think about I'm 35 years old when I decided to do this full time, and I'm like, clearly got rid of the safety net. And I had 35 years of, you get a job, you stay there, you collect pension, you save every penny, you do this, just very old school, and there's nothing wrong with it. Like, there are paths to success that way. That wasn't for me. So at 35 years old, I've got this lifetime of that upbringing and me trying something that's crazy. I had to totally reprogram my mindset to, even to the point of like consciously working on the idea that I'm worthy of success. I've got a sign posted on my basement. One of the pillars in my basement says, just being me is good enough to be great. And like, I had to, for a while, like every morning I would just meditate on that for like, I don't know, 6 months or a year. And I'd, for 10 minutes, just like have to keep telling myself that. But I struggled for, even with modest success in real estate for the first 6 or so years. 2016, I was, borderline suicidal. I had I had kids at this point, and I would have never followed through with it, but I was thinking a lot about it.
Sure.
Just there was a lot of stuff going on that we don't need to get into, but the point is, I did exactly what you said. I like started to pursue basically a life's board of directors of people that I respected and that I wanted to be like, and that I know are positive people and encouraging. And I'm going to give a shout out to one of them was Jason Kiley, who owns Great American Title Agency here in town. He's been a life changer for me. I tell him he's saved my life. So that's the next big supporter that I had. And you never know where they're going to come from.
Yeah.
But he called me up one time in 2016, was like, hey man, like, I know that you're struggling, not in the business necessarily. I know that you're struggling mentally, psychologically, whatever it is. He goes, I cleared my schedule for today. I want to hang out with you. And it was that was a day that changed my life. Sorry, I get a little emotional. But one of the things that we talked about that day is he was like, I was going through these feelings where I'm not doing anything right. I'm losing out on business that I feel like I shouldn't be losing out on. And at that point, I had a real estate coach with one of the big companies that was, I missed out on some stuff. And he was pretty brutal. Like, basically, you fucked this up. It's not those people. It's you. You're doing something wrong. And Kylie came to me and said, look, man, I've worked with you a lot. You are a good person. You treat your clients like gold. If someone's got a problem with you and you're missing out on it, it's not because of you, it's because of them. So you need to understand that. And that changed my life and changed my career at that point. So thank you, Jason. Love you, man.
For sure. It's one of those things, like, it's not every opportunity is good business, right? And I always try to tell people, and agents specifically, we only need to help the people that want our help, right? We only need to help the people that see value in what we're going to bring to the table. And there's going to be plenty of people that don't see value in what I bring to the table or what my team brings to the table. Guess what? They're not my people. And I think it's hard, especially in an industry where, consistency is a hard thing, right, to do. And sometimes we lessen our standards in order to go and make sure we get, a commission check so we can pay the bills that month. Like, we've all been there. I always tell people, like, I don't care if you're a top team or a brand new agent. We all go through the same shit, right? At some point, top teams, they do things to keep money coming in and deals coming in, right, to keep bills being paid and lights on. So, but I think that's a key lesson, like, we can't help everyone. And we're seeing some of that now, right? When I'm talking to agents, it's like, not every pre-approved buyer is someone that we can help buy a house. And it is what it is, right? Like, I'm not a musician. I can't make things happen. A buyer in today's market, just like back when you got in, right? Like, we were dealing with people that went through foreclosure and short sales and bankruptcies. Like, hey, we would get the calls, hey, I want to buy a house, but I had a foreclosure, a year ago. I'm sorry, you have to wait 2 more years, right? Like, and that's kind of what we're seeing now. Like, hey, unfortunately, you're not going to get the big house anymore if you want to buy a home, right? Or, hey, you're going to need extra cash if you want to buy a house. I'm sorry, if you don't have it, I can't help everyone. And you just have to come to peace and terms with that. So,
and I think it's key to come to those conversations with empathy, and not,
for sure,
more empathy than sympathy. The best of us, I think, do a good job of putting ourselves in those people's shoes and helping them through that. Even if we can't do it right now, if they can't pull it off right now, it's important to still be there and to be a resource, and it'll pay off in the long run. And we talk about inconsistency and market shifts and whatnot. I feel like the one thing that can be consistent is how we treat people and how we approach the business. And
Mm-hmm.
if we do that, let the cards fall,
Yeah.
we're going to be okay. I really believe that.
Yeah. Ryan, my mentor and team lead, he always said, it's not you can't buy a house. It's just maybe
Yeah.
not right now. Right. Like, our job as real estate agents is put a game plan in place to put them in your client in a position to succeed with their real estate goals. And, that commission check and helping them do that will feel just as great next year or 6 months
Yeah.
from now or 2 years from now or 7 years from now as it does today. And it's not you're never going to be able to sell or you're never going to be able to buy.
Right.
It's just, it may not be the right time. Let's put a game plan in place.
Yep.
And you, back to your point, right? Treating people right the right way and all of those things. It's becoming their expert advisor for real estate,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes it's delivering the bad news and sometimes we get to deliver the good news. So
Right. That's one of the things I put in, like, all my bios that we have on all our websites and social media and everything, is that I pride myself on telling people compassionately what they need to hear, even if it's not necessarily what they want to hear.
yeah,
And like I said, if you do that respectfully, empathetically, it goes a long way for your business and for your relationship with those people. And as well as this is a relationship business, right?
mm-hmm.
Transactions are how we get paid, but relationships are what we do. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's key to keep that at the forefront.
Yeah. And here's the thing. You never know what that one person is going to do for you, right? Like,
Right.
when we got into the business, you mentioned 16 homes and your income was like $22,000. I remember working with investors and obviously the REO world and all of that. One of my best clients was a $30,000 deal. They referred me like 5 people,
Right.
right? And there was agents back in that time that would not even talk to people that were in that price range.
Right. Right.
And there's agents like that today. And as agents, it's your job is to build the relationship. And I always say, if you're in this for fast cash, you're in the wrong business and you're going to fail. But if you're
You
in
can
this
do that for a short time.
but if you're in this for a career, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
Right. So Brent, fill me
Can
in
I ask?
on, like,
Sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
Can I flip the script a little bit and ask you a question?
Sure.
Sorry to hit you. I feel like the atmosphere in real estate is, and I'm not talking about the market, I'm talking about the people doing real estate. I feel like the atmosphere has shifted in a positive way to a lot more cooperation now versus the competition. I felt it could get pretty cutthroat, I thought,
Yes.
when I started out. And
Yes.
I think that's a great thing that
Yes.
agents are more cooperative now. I'm just wondering if you have a feel or if you think that as well.
I agree. I agree with, and I think it comes with the change of the real estate industry, right? So, think about it. Before, those that controlled the listings, because there was no websites and IDX feeds and all of those things, those that controlled the listings controlled the market from a
Right.
real estate agent standpoint. So why would they want to share with their competition of how to go out and get more listings and then take a bigger piece? Now, when I got in, right, websites like Boomtown and Tiger Leads and Commissions Inc., they all, the internet changed it a little bit,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
it leveled the playing field of being able to go out and get clients. And I agree with you. And I think some of the older agents fall off in the business,
Hey,
right?
I'm older.
That are used to doing it the old way, right? And you have the new influx of agents, and the way, obviously, technology and the internet, keep leveling the playing field. There is some of that, and one of my missions and why I'm very community over competition is because every agent will say, "Oh, we need to raise the standards of our industry. We need to raise the standards of our industry." But yet, half of them don't do anything but help raise the standards of the
Right.
industry, right? Whereas if you can have one conversation with one person and you can help them become a better real estate agent, and maybe that's by helping them with their presentation skills or showing them your buyer consultation or, helping them on the phone, it does make our industry better, even if it's one or two people at a time. But I'm right there with you. I think it's the way just the industry has changed over the years. Technology has leveled the playing field.
I hadn't thought about the why, but I just, and what you're saying all makes sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah. And
We'll go
ultimately, I
with it.
think, you get some of the, look, you grew up old school. My stepdad's from the South, so I grew up old school. Right. So, as some of those ways kind of fall off and just the world in general becomes a little bit more soft in those regards. I think it opens that up to, we'll see what the future holds.
Yeah. And I think the future for real estate, especially in Central Ohio, looks amazing.
Yes.
I think there's opportunity. Limitless opportunity.
If you're in real estate right now, and even if your business is down, and the majority of our businesses is down, even the top teams, top agents, the majority of the businesses are down, you still have to be positive in what's going to happen, right? Like there's a lot of great going on right now. Yes, the market's down, but there's a lot of development happening. And I think we're in this period of time where the city is changing. The quote unquote affordability is changing. We may not be quote unquote affordable anymore. There may be more rental situations, right? People having roommates and things in order to save up a little bit longer to then buy that house. Think of the Chicagos and the New York. We're not on that level yet, but we're not on that level yet, but we're changing. Columbus is changing, and we're just in that transition period right now. And it's the consumer mindset that is changing. And sometimes they're just stuck in what it used to be and not what it is.
Oh yeah. It takes time. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I was showing houses to somebody from New York about 2 weeks ago. Not from New York City, just north of there. But they were like, houses are so cheap here. It's great. And then they're like, what are the taxes on this place? I'm like, $5,000. Are you kidding me? That's so cheap. I'm like, yeah. Gotta tell people from Central Ohio that.
Yeah, exactly. Brent, I want to kind of like transition to future pace, right? For your business and where you want to get to. What's something that you're looking to accomplish in the next 12 months?
Oh, I don't have a good answer to that. I've had this year, like you mentioned, all of our business is down a little bit. My wife and I transitioned to looking to buy property. Like I've been preaching to people, you need to buy stuff right now.
Yeah.
Now. And I feel like we preach that till we're blue in the face. We've transitioned to buying now. So we're in contract for our third rental property this year. We did a flip or not a flip. It's more of a burr situation.
Yeah.
Rental in February and March. And we bought another place. We're in contract to buy another one right now. We're doing a kitchen and bath remodel in our primary home. We just got back from Europe. We did a trip to Europe this year, and I'm like, oh my God. So I guess what I need to do in the next 3 to 6 months is get myself back into real estate sales ideas. A more concrete thing is I'm really trying to get more involved in video. I know I'm only 5 or 6 years late on that, but we'll.
It's like buying a house. The best time to start, was yesterday. The next best time is today, right? Same thing.
So I don't have a concrete, like what I need to do. I know what I need to do. I need to get back to the basics of real estate. I've been enjoying, playing around in the Netherlands and doing this stuff with our personal properties and throwing in a handful of deals here and there. I've really let myself go in terms of strategically communicating with my sphere. One thing, my biggest strength is that I'm very, very involved with my sphere just on a day-to-day basis. If I have 250 people in my database, I am face to face with 100 of them every week. Through just by life, I need to be more strategic about communicating with them about real estate and reminding them that I'm here and that sort of thing. So it's not a very good answer. I know that that is not a smart goal. I've been dicking around for the last couple of months, and I need to get back to real estate as a realtor.
It's one of those things though. It's and I have a couple myself. I just went through it. Like my wife and I bought 3 investment properties from January till now. Right. And at the end of the day, those are income producing activities, right? I always talk to agents about focusing on income producing, like those are going to bring an income in. But
funny, sorry, you go, you finish.
No, I was just going to say, but giving yourself grace, right? Like it's not that that's not going to help you long term. It's for sure going to help you. So, whether it's sales or investments, to me, it's always the same.
Yeah. I have this, you can't see it because I'm blurred, but I've got this little book that I put together at the beginning of the year, and 2023 is a quest toward tranquility and confidence. And I've got business goals and family goals and personal goals. Well, like the personal and family goals, I've pretty much got all of them already. The business goals, not so much. So we're going to get back into the 2023 quest. I like to give each year kind of a theme, I guess.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
I like that. Brent, what's something that you're looking to accomplish over the next 5 years? What's a goal of yours?
Again, I want to buy at least 1 property per year.
Okay.
Hopefully more. In this business, it seems like the deal of a lifetime comes around about once a month, So I want to be positioned to pounce on those when I can. So another thing about my wife, she was recently diagnosed with MS, and that has led to a family goal of getting her to early retirement in 6 years. So the buying income producing properties over the next 5 to 6 years, that's why, because we need to replace some of that income. As far as being a realtor, I keep saying I'm going to add a team member, and I've got this constant struggle where I'm like, every year I'm like, this is the year I'm going to add someone to my team. And then at some point in the year, I'm like, why? I'm content. I'm happy with my business the way it is. Why do I need to add someone else to it? So I don't know. At some point, I want to add somebody to start building a team, And,
my coach always says, well, what's the goal? What's the goal of adding a team member, right?
Well, my goal, and maybe, this has been, I haven't written it down. It's not made it into the quest yet, but a long-term goal would be to work as a mentor more than, and get out of the sales end of things. Maybe not completely out of it. I don't necessarily have any interest in owning my own brokerage or anything like that. There's just too much liability, and I love Realty. I'm not going to pitch it or anything, but I love the situation. And so why change it?
Right.
But part of it would be the freedom to spend time mentoring other agents versus always be selling, always be closing. So I'm just gonna say thank you for asking those questions, because clearly this is something I need to deal with.
Well, I got one more big question for you. So this one might really stump you, but this was asked to me probably about a year ago now, from another agent, and a good friend, and he read it in a book. And the question is, what's a legacy goal for you? What's a goal that you're looking to hit when you're no longer here? Because a lot of times in our business, right, it's like, okay, yearly business plan goal, 3-year plan, 5-year, 10-year, 25-year, right? But what are we trying to really accomplish, right, with not just real estate, but with our life? And I'm always curious of what would that legacy goal be? And if you don't have one, that's totally cool. But I always love posing that question on here.
No, I like it. And the goal would be, I just found this when I was going through some of my old journals, and I was going to lay it on you, and now I can't find it. But it's basically about a journey to significance. And what does significance mean? I wish I had it. Anyhow, I learned this from, I think it was Joe Stump, who was a by referral only coach at one point. You start out, you're looking for stability, and then you grow to success and sustainability, and then the last thing is significance. So I feel like, and the quote I was going to lay on you is something about, like, I am on a journey to significance, and in a lot of ways, I may already be there. And that's where significance is, when you're affecting other people's lives and helping them grow more than you're focusing on your own financial goals or whatever. So is that a legacy goal, to find some sort of significance? Yes. I would love to find a way that my kids would never have to work, so that they could only do the things that they love to do. And hopefully those would be income producing, and then they could pass it on as well. I think part of what I'm feeling my journey to significance right now is showing my kids there are different paths than the 9 to 5 or whatever. Those are perfectly viable too, but you can find other ways to do this.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I don't know.
That's awesome.
Not great answers, but
no, I love it. Everyone's is different, right? I mean, it's yours, not mine. It's not anyone else's. It's yours. So
I saw
Brent,
your podcast with Jason Hoddle, and was like, he had a good legacy goal, and I've been thinking about it since I saw that, but I don't have my elevator speech for my legacy goal down yet. So.
And I think it could be, it can change, right, as we go. It can change. I always tell people, it's like, to me, that is the North Star. That is the thing that you're always looking up and chasing, right? You may never get it. You may get it, but you may never get it, right? But that's the direction that we have to go, and that's going to be the thing that pulls you through the downs, and because there's going to be many of downs, right? Throughout your career, throughout life, all of those things, and
that's when the growth happens.
Yeah, and that should be the thing that pulls you through it, right? It pulls you through that. Brent, I want to be respectful of your time. I got one last question for you, and we always end with this one. It's like, if you could give our audience one piece of advice that maybe you wish you had in the beginning of your career, or one that you always share with real estate agents, what would that be?
It's what's on my Facebook page on the main picture, and it's, if you're going to be anything, be genuine, be true to yourself. Over my career, I've had different coaches from different, big organizations. And while coaching is a great thing and works for a lot of people, the experiences I had were those coaches trying to fit me into that system, and it just wasn't me. Don't compromise yourself, and just be genuine. People love that. People respect that. And we're all we're all unicorns, right? That's
Yeah.
becoming a cliche now, but it's true. So just be yourself and go after it.
Yeah.
Own it.
Um, Brent, I appreciate your time. And I just realized, I didn't even have the ticker at the bottom of the screen going
Oh
this whole
no.
time. So those that are watching, make sure you guys reach out to Brent. If you guys are thinking of someone that's looking to buy or sell real estate, here in Central Ohio, or if you're a real estate agent, maybe you just connected with his story. His phone number, his email is down below. But Brent, for those that are listening in and they want to reach out to you and they want to connect with you just to maybe pick your brain about real estate or about the business or whatever the case may be, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Well, I just realized the number that's on there. That's my Google Voice number. If you, it'll ring to the same number, but my cell is 614-296-2439, or email me there. I'm open to talking anytime. I love talking business or whatever. We didn't even get into some of the other stuff I'm into, like Ford Model Ts and stuff like that. So yeah.
Well, that would be over my head because cars are way over my head. So
No, it's been a lot of fun. And I said before we started recording, I really appreciate that you're doing this. As we transact, get into transactions together, we have some knowledge and get to know people. But I think this is just a really cool way to get people's stories out there, and I appreciate that you're doing it.
Well, no, thanks for coming on. I mean, I believe it's important, to not just for the audience, right, but for you, right, because we talked in the beginning, like a lot of agents don't actually take an hour to reflect and share their story, and really go back and look at some of those pivotal moments that at the time, seemed scary or seemed wrong or seemed all of these other things, but it was the thing that got you here.
Yeah.
It was, and a lot of times it's something that's happened earlier in your career or your life that has a profound impact on your business. Right. And you just need to self-awareness, right? Recognize it and be like, man, yeah, like I went through that. I mean, a lot of people don't know, like, I failed calculus in college and that made me change my degree. Right. And then that was like, well, this isn't going to do anything for me when I graduate. So let's, and then I got married and divorced my first year in the business. Right. And going through all of that plus starting real estate. Right. And getting things going. And by the way, it was 2011. Right. So, you had all of those things. Yeah. You had all those things going on. It's like, man, if you can get through that, now you can get through anything. Right. And a lot of times that's what we experience in different career changes, life, to even get to this point. You guys have already won a lot of different things to even get here.
Right.
The market's not the biggest concern, So Brent, thanks so much for coming on and just sharing your journey and, being transparent and talking about the things a lot of people don't want to talk about, mental health and, the highs and lows of this business. We all go through it. We all experience it. Doesn't matter how many deals you've done. And I just appreciate your openness and transparency with the story.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Everything that happens is preparing us for the next challenge. Right.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much. Yeah. Thanks so much. And we'll connect here soon.
Okay. Thanks, John.
All right. Thanks.